So, Piggy Chapter 9 has been thrown into a massive spiral of conversation. Now, because Minitoon has tweeted out recently saying, "Ahoy everyone, don't be surprised if you come across an old character in Chapter 9. The debation has been going on all around over YouTube and Twitter, so today guys, we're going to be going through 10 characters that we could well be seeing in Chapter 9. And then at the end of today's video guys, I want you to go into the comment section down below and I want you all to place your bets, and then when Chapter 9 does finally arrive, we can actually figure out who was right and who was wrong. And of course, at the end of this video, I will also say my prediction as well. But first, if you could be using star code Antixx when you're buying your Robux or Premium, that would be much appreciated. Also, at the time of recording this, I am roughly 500 subscribers away from 200k, so hopefully by the time this video has finally gone out, I will be finally at 200,000 subscribers. Which to me, honestly, is such a crazy figure. I never thought that my YouTube channel would seriously go as far as it is. So guys, without further ado, let's jump into this. Number 1, Bunny. Now, of course, Bunny took the L way back in the Metro, and Bunny has also been hinted in Book 2 to making an appearance. You can clearly see that in the Piggy Book 2 trailer that, Bunny does actually appear for a very, very split second. So could this be hinting towards Bunny's return in Piggy Chapter 9, or are we going to be getting Bunny a little bit further down the line? I think for Bunny to come back in Chapter 9 may be just a little bit too soon. And I'm sure that we will be seeing Bunny at some point. But I just wanted to bring up Bunny being a possible factor for Chapter 9 just simply because that she is actually going to be coming back to the storyline. We just don't exactly know when. Number 2, Mr. P. Now this one is possibly the biggest favourite as to who everybody thinks that we are going to be seeing in Chapter 9. Of course, Minitoon tweeted out the other day with a few emojis, and with those emojis came a robot. Now of course, Mr. P has turned into this cyborg sweet potato looking man, so potentially that emoji was actually hinting towards Mr. P. And I think that we've seen quite a few videos on YouTube now where a lot of people, a lot of content creators have basically said that they think that it's going to be Mr. P coming back. So I would genuinely put Mr. P out there as one as the biggest favourites to coming back. Number 3, Doggy. Now of course, Doggy is very much alike Bunny. Bunny took the L in the Metro and Doggy also took the L in the forest. And of course, at the end of Book 1 in the plant chapter, you can see like Bunny and Doggy, they're, roaming around the end, kind of like part 2 to the map if you like. So they've basically been infected in some way, shape or form, and that's kind of their afterlife in a way, running around in the plant chapter. Now like I've said, we know that Bunny's going to be coming to the storyline in Book 2, but exactly when, we don't know. But of course, with Bunny does come Doggy as well. They're both very much in the same boat at this point. They've both been infected basically in the same way as well. They didn't get infected by, an animal or anything like that. They both took the L by basically drinking this potion. So somebody is actually out there force feeding these people some potions, which is pretty interesting. Number 4, Rash. Now I would say that Rash is probably another favourite that a lot of people are trying to say will be coming back, and I actually agree with them. I think Rash is pretty up there to be making an appearance in Piggy Chapter 9. Of course, we saw Rash way back in the alleys, and there's still so many characters to actually come back at this point. And imagine if in Chapter 9 there was more than just one familiar face. I feel like if we saw like a great big army of all of the people that have been infected, that would be actually insane. Now, of course, nobody actually knows what happened to Rash. I mean, the guy kind of just went disappearing and said that we were going to pay for arresting Willow. And the fact that he has a crowbar in his hand is actually something very interesting. And I feel like it could actually be a secret to potentially hinting towards Rash being in Chapter 9, and I'm going to explain why at the end of this video. Number 5, Zizzi. Now, of course, Zizzi could be making a return at some point very soon. Imagine if in chapter 9, Zizzi was literally the bot. I feel like that would be actually insane. So, of course, Zizzi took the L in the refinery and we kind of left her, and we do know that now her arm is gone and that she's basically been taken by the Insolents. Now, could she be making a return in Piggy chapter 9, or do we think that we're going to be seeing her maybe a little bit further down the line in Piggy book 2? I would probably say that we're probably going to see her towards the end of book 2, just simply because I think it would be a little bit too soon if she was to come back right now, but she is a massive kind of like possibility to actually coming back in chapter 9 because of course that she was infected way back in the refinery, so making an appearance in chapter 9 wouldn't really make sense, but I guess it would be pretty interesting. I mean, at this point, I have no idea what's in Minitoon's head. Number 6, Mrs. P. Now, Mrs. P, literally the epicenter of this whole entire infection, or at least as we know it. Mrs. P did feel sick to the whole lineoma disease thing, and you know, Mr. P tried to fund and make it like a whole potion and try to cure his wife, but Mrs. P is the entire reason that this whole infection did begin. Now, do I think that we could be seeing her in chapter 9? Well, I've kind of been calling out to Minitoon that I want some juicy storyline in the next episode. Seriously, I feel like we need some juicy stuff going on. So seeing Mrs. P, I really feel like that would bring back some form of nostalgia, especially bringing back Mr. P as well. So Mr. P and Mrs. P would bring back some nostalgia and may bring back some OG Piggy fans. I mean, Mrs. P was such a big talking point in book 1 just simply because of her being up in that window in the city. So potentially if we do see her in chapter 9, I do feel like that would genuinely bring quite a few people back to Piggy. Number 7, Penny. Now, of course, we could be seeing Penny at some point. We know that she is literally right there at the end of Piggy book 2 because she looks as though she is actually guarding that vaccine. Now, do I think that she will be making a return in Piggy chapter 9? Yeah, I don't really think so, but I definitely wanted to put her in as a possibility. After all, I do feel as though we don't necessarily know an awful lot about Penny. And there is actually just one more thing that I have found actually pretty interesting. Way back in the distorted memory chapter, we never actually got to saw Penny's eyes. So I very much wonder if Penny is actually going to be those red eyes that were up in the distorted memory. Dang, I feel like I've just given you one of my secrets from my next like top 10 secrets. Oh, what am I doing? But I do think that seeing Penny at some point very soon is going to be a possibility. Maybe not in chapter 9, but definitely soon. Number 8, William. Now, of course, William is Willow's younger brother, and there's a lot of like storyline in book 2 that is actually revolving around William. Where is William? Why did he disappear? And where has he disappeared to? The one thing that I do find pretty interesting is that if William has disappeared all the way back in Lucella, why all of a sudden are we heading across the North Sea and potentially finding William? I just feel like that would be pretty weird. I know that, you know, the military has moved up there and that Daisy has moved up there as well. But I do feel like at the end of book 2 that we're going to see a lot of these characters where they actually originated way back in Lucella, and now all of a sudden they're literally going to be in a completely different country of Piggy. But seeing William in chapter 9, possibility, yeah, sort of not. I'm not entirely sure. I do feel like a lot of these characters are going to come right at the end, and we're going to have like this massive like scare where we're going to see so many characters that we do know. So I'm a little bit on the fence with William as to him actually returning in chapter 9. Number 9, Robbie. Now, of course, Minitoon did tweet out the robot emoji. Now, the only robot that we technically do know is Robbie. So could we be seeing literally the CCTV guy of them all turning up in chapter 9? I'm not so sure. And I have seen quite a lot of people actually saying that we are going to be seeing Robbie. I mean, the last time that Minitoon did tell us that we're going to be seeing a familiar face, it turned out to be Budgie. So at this point, it literally could be Piggy at this point. Oh my goodness. So could it be Robbie? Yes, there's a possibility that it could be Robbie. Do I think it's going to be Robbie? No. But did I think that it was going to be Budgie? Most definitely not. And finally, number 10, Daisy. Now I feel like quite a lot of people have completely forgotten about Daisy, and I'm going to explain why I think that Daisy could well be returning in Chapter 9. Of course, she had to go up north. She is literally in the military, and the last things that we saw from Piggy Chapter 8 were literally explosions from the military fighting. Now, could this mean that literally we're going to see Daisy very soon? And we know that Minitoon did tweet out saying that we're going to be seeing an old friend. Now, Minitoon didn't say that the old friend was going to be our old friend. This old friend could well be Willow. I'm fully aware that the character, does not actually know who Daisy is. But we all do know that there is one person out there that does know who Daisy is. That person being Willow. So could there be this whole reunion between Willow and Daisy? For me, this is the one that makes the most sense. So here is my prediction as to who I think that we could well be seeing in Chapter 9. Now I'm going to narrow it down to 3 characters. Those 3 characters being Bunny, just simply because we know that Bunny is going to return to the storyline at some point. So could Bunny be returning in Chapter 9? Well, potentially. My other one that I would narrow it down to is, of course, Mr. P. Now, of course, Mr. P, he's going to return at some point. We haven't seen the guy die or anything like that, so I'm sure that he's going to return at some point. Do I think that he's going to return prior to the end of Book 2? I think I am leaning towards that way, so I would probably say Mr. P is going to turn up very soon. And finally, the one that I think that is going to be returning in Chapter 9 is Daisy. I literally did a video on it yesterday, so yeah, it's no surprise. I don't even know if I really need to explain myself that much, but I think I've pretty much, well, you know, explained it in this video. It's pretty obvious that I think that Daisy could well be the person that we're going to be seeing. Of course, it's not going to be our friend, it's more going to be this whole reunion between Willow and actually Daisy. I got a little bit caught up there. I almost said William instead of Willow. So there we go, that's my top 10 characters that you guys might see in Chapter 9. But anyway, of course, if you could be using star code Antixx when you're buying your Robux or Premium, that would be much appreciated. And of course, if you haven't yet already done so, could you please subscribe to the channel? Because, you know, you can always subscribe later if you don't fancy my content anymore, you know what I mean? But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you guys in the next one.